Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the RITCH Podcast. I'm Mitch.
I'm Rob.
Today we have a hear us out on this one, okay? So we're going to discuss this. This could be a bit voodoo-y, a bit wishy-washy, you could say. Now, a question we're going to pose to you is, with all the self-development going around, as you'd say, with all the self-improvement, is the one thing that people are missing from their self-development journey the ability to look and have peace, inner peace, and appreciate who they are and think they are good enough? What would you say is your opinion on that?
Yeah, it just comes down to how you perceive yourself, I think, and a lot of people don't like the person they are, and that's why they're always searching for something else, looking for maybe someone else is on social media, and maybe just stuck in a loop where they just constantly argue with their internal self.
Man, that fucking loop is and because you can get lost in it as well. Because I saw this image. Okay, I don't know where. I can't even quote you where I saw it. I can imagine it was Twitter. Okay, so yeah, doom scrolling. Sorry. All right. So there was this guy, like he was like fresh faced, 20. He was chasing money, and it was just over the years you saw the deterioration of his of his age, of his skin, of his hair, of his everything. He was just aging. By the time he had a wad full of money, he was chasing his money. By the time he had a wad full, life was like, he looked in the mirror and it was his life was almost over.
Yeah.
And that internal dialogue to always be better will push you towards that input. Now looking inwardly and be like, I'm okay with who I am.
Yeah.
Do you think that's many people's missing step?
Yeah, I just don't think people realise what that looks like, and we're not going to get that from seeing someone else. It's the countries that don't really publicise it.
Yeah, man.
It's.
Is it part of the reason Japan has such a blue zone? Because like you go in, you get like the little Japanese man who's really happy doing his gardening and eating his sushi.
Yeah,
and like just living a comfortable life.
Yeah,
like we know Joe. Do you remember Joe from a place that shall not be named? Okay, there was Joe, and Joe was a 70-odd-year-old man. He lifting weights for 50 years, and he was so fucking happy.
Yeah,
he was so happy,
jacked, good body shape. He was just calm in the mind. He was softly spoken, but there was. You could see that you wouldn't want to mess with him as well.
Yeah.
It was like that inner warrior. And that's what the warriors strived for, is that inner peace as well, because they had such hard times. They lived through, their bodies were a weapon. They used their minds as a weapon, but they also needed to be able to flip the switch and go, now I need to just live with how I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I've been researching at the moment. We all have these points of interest, and for me it's ancient history and how that links with performance, gladiators and warriors of Japan, so the samurai. That's kind of what I'm interested in at the moment, and about how they live, and all of them use some sort of meditation.
Yeah.
And that's one way to find your inner peace. A lot of countries use it. A lot of countries will just sit with themselves and think their own thoughts, and there's nothing. There's just silence around them. We'll take technology out of the equation. There's no phones. There's no scrolling whatsoever. It's breathing. It's being present. It's finding out who you are. It's questioning yourself, answering questions. It's the ability to ask the right questions about where you're going wrong or how you are at the moment, in order to find what you should be doing next or how you should be living. These are the right questions to ask yourself if you're in this mindset currently. If you're struggling to think for yourself and like the thoughts that you have, like the person that you are, you need to ask the right questions, and find the right answers, because it's you that needs to change. And maybe it's your surroundings, but you can actually change yourself within your surroundings and then change your surroundings. That makes sense?
No, it does. It does. My instant thought is this like balls to the wall culture cultivated by Western society? Because it isn't something you get everywhere. It's not a worldwide global thing. It's like you can go to like the Okinawa. Yeah, you can go to Okinawa and Even in the UK, like, because we're near London enough for people to think that probably for an American we live in London. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but we don't. But for an American we live in London. Even when you go up to Scotland, it's you can breathe. There's peace. There's this internal tranquility that you get. So is this a Western problem?
Yes, I think so. So personally, I do, but I also think the closer you are to a city, the more you're going to feel it. The more you step away from a city and move towards the countryside, be at nature. We're not built to live in big cities, concrete jungles, and have so many people just sitting on your lap and being on the tube, being on trains next to people. We don't thrive in those situations, and we don't want to either.
So if I then throw the question at you, what is the ultimate desire for someone in life? Acceptance or drive? Because in a world where realistically you're not going to have both, like you see, high performers though, like you see high performers, it's never enough. It's never enough. Elon Musk created the biggest. He created PayPal, created the biggest car company in probably on the most popularized, fashionable car company maybe in the world right now, and now he wants to go to space. It's never going to be enough. Not when he makes space or life on Mars, Saturn, or like he'll try his heart. Like it's never going to be enough. So we know that these high performers can't accept and can't live can't have inner peace. So what's the more preferred out of the two paths, would you say?
Because it's a good question, and I think sometimes you need to become a different person in order to meet a goal. Sometimes you have to have that inner drive. If someone lacks the inner drive, they need to spark that out, because everyone has that ability to have that, but you need to bring it out of yourself. If you're plateaued, you're in the same situation, sometimes you need to bring out that inner drive to spark action. Sometimes you need to accept myself. I am that person that is never enough. It's not good enough. Sometimes I need to sit back and accept that things are good enough. Sometimes it's just time of repetition. I'm doing the right things. So I still have that drive, but accept that I don't need to question everything I'm doing and say it's not enough, because it leads to a negative. For me, that leads to more stress. To me, that leads to questioning myself more. Whereas if I've still got the drive, because it's internally, I feel like I'm a driven person, but I'm still having the action, which I know I'm combining those two, but have the acceptance that things are enough. Certain things are enough, certain things aren't. If I know that I am being lazy in areas, I'm now susceptible to more doom scrolling at times where I should be working. That's where I have to reflect on that time and go, I need to be more driven with my action during those times. So it's the small, you break down the small points throughout your day.
But do you actually need to be more driven during those times? Because everyone would say, you need to be more driven, but does that coincide with the point we're making?
I think you need both.
But because you're going to instantly feel guilty the second you go on Instagram.
Of course. So if I allow myself, what I'm trying to say is, if I know my day and I know when I'm supposed to be doing stuff, that's the point where I give myself a harsh, slap on the wrist, or I'll give myself a pat on the back. But it's both. It's allowing myself to go, wow, you've done a good job today.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, rather than that silence.
But could you do nothing in a day and say you've had a good day? Because I think the 100-year-old Okinawa man could.
But again, what goal have you got? This is why I brought that up first, because it depends on what goal you have first. My goal, as you know, is to grow my business to a point. Once I've reached that point, again, I'll probably keep questioning once I've reached that point, and it's in that loop. But the discipline may be my downfall. The discipline to stay on task may be my downfall to living a fruitful life, because I'm tough on myself, because it's never enough. You need to do more. These are all things that people link with discipline. That doesn't mean that is discipline.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's linked with today's discipline. You need to be doing more.
Sometimes
you need to knuckle down. You need to work harder. Yeah, discipline to put everything away and go. Because I'm doing fuck all today because it's for myself.
Because also this new modern wave of discipline, and again, this is appeared to be a tangent. Let me go off. Okay, let me cook, as the youth would say. All right. So it's not a family orientated way of thinking. This is why population is declining, because your dad, my dad, everyone's dad has an ability to be, it appears from the outside looking in, an ability to be peaceful. This constant, I need to be better, it's a lot of I. It's never a we. There's never a we in the I of I need to be better, ever. And the population is declining drastically. So this cultivation of complete and utter balls to the wall the whole time, I believe, is part of the reason why men and women don't want to have kids anymore.
But who would be the we?
The we would be a family. The we would be the husband, the wife, and the kids you have. And the most peaceful people who've experienced inner peace and experienced a fulfilling life all say the same thing on their deathbed. Proud of my kids, proud to have kids, and I've loved my life. I've never met someone who's balls to the wall all the time, says they're happy, who says they're actually content with their life. So whilst that appeared to go off on a tangent, could this be one of the more undisclosed downfalls of society?
Is a good point. But then why do you think people are questioning how hard they're working? Why do you think people are questioning themselves more than ever today? What do you think that is?
Lack purpose. And our purpose is many ways to reproduce. And not a lot of people want to reproduce. And when you get people who reproduce, you get people who are asking themselves at 41 years of age why they feel like they need to do more.
Is it a comparison? Is it a comparison to the previous generation that had a really good innings?
As we say, Rob put me on someone called Gary's Economics. Fucking hell, life changing. I'm just sitting there like, what a man Gary's Economics is. But yeah, it's like, obviously it was as he says, and I'm quoting Gary's Economics, so don't think I'm saying anything. It was a golden time for the middle class for 70 years. So yeah, it does. That would lead to more of an incline in population, because what is to do? Let's pass this on. Let's have kids. So the wealth distribution probably isn't helping the economy in the sense that people are going to have less and less kids. But having less and less kids is also, I think, a byproduct of the I of I need to be better the whole time. So,
but is that I need to be better in order to provide, in order to become a better person to provide?
Yes, but that's not. But the I isn't capped. Someone who got 100 million in the bank can provide for a family, but he's going to want 200 million more than he's going to want to be able to provide for a family.
But someone that can't provide for themselves currently shouldn't be bringing.
Mate, you can make that argument, but also at the same time, there's an argument to be made on that. But I think that's a different topic. Like, we're probably appealing now to the people who you've got enough. Like, there's enough in your life for you to be grateful for, and no one practices gratitude anymore. There's not a single bit of gratitude going about. And if you're a religious person, if you're not a religious person, it's going to benefit you to be a very gratituded individual. I don't even think that's a fucking word. But if you can't practice gratitude, you are going to be lost and feel empty your whole life.
This is why I want to bring up the final boss. And this is what I want to bring up the metaphor.
Yeah.
And what this podcast was sparked upon the metaphor of the final boss. For anyone that's played a game, you reach set levels and you always come up against the boss.
If you smell what the rock is cooking.
Yeah.
For those people out there.
So you've got the first boss and you've beat it with a set of skills, and you can go back and respawn. Every time you're learning, you're getting feedback of what to do. You get to the final boss. That is all these bosses combined into one, which is why it's the hardest one. And this is your inner voice. This is the one that's in the back of your head going, so it's the version of you that was built through the whole of your life to your present day now. Mm-hmm. It's the one that, won early battles. It's the person that you had to be, which is embedded in yourself. And it's It's one that you relied on in certain times that you now bring with you today. So it's now stuck on repeat. It's that loop that you're living in, and it's the whispering in your ear that you're not good enough, that you need to do more. That when you do something, and it's just demanding perfection, right? So that's the final boss in your ear. And where you've touched upon is, you may not need that to combat this final boss. You don't need to combat it with more force. You don't need to be outworking it, because you're feeding the voice that's inside your head. You need to have more compassion. For me, I need to have more patience, be more grateful with the life that I'm living now. These are all the things that will combat this voice inside my head that's going, Rob, you're not good enough. Like, you need to be doing more. This time wasn't good for this Ironman. You're not getting enough leads for your business. Like, you're not living the life that you want to live. Whereas if I step back and go, hang on a second, I've got clients, I'm starting a boot camp, I'm doing a podcast with a friend that I wanted to do a podcast with, and actually now we're 14 episodes deep. I'm actually loving this. I'm loving life. And that's the person that I need to be more of. And that's the things that I need to say more of, because it will live up here. And now I'm able to change that person that I am, who's saying is not good enough, going forwards. Because in 6 months' time, after I've repeated these steps, because it's not just a one and done, I need to repeat this. I need to keep saying to myself, wow, this is, you're living the life.
Do you think that you've skipped a layer of gratitude there? Because I only say this because it's like the basic level of, what's his name? Maslow's hierarchy of needs is always met now in society. And we just skip over the fact that we have access to food, water and shelter pretty much just... And that's throughout history not been a given. For so many people, we live like kings. And I sometimes, I'm like, whenever I'm thinking, fuck, I've had a shit day, I sit there, I'm like, I look at the roof above my head and think, I look at the food on my lap, I look at the bottle of water by my side and I think, this could be a lot worse. This could be a lot worse right now. And I think that fundamental layer of gratitude almost is the prerequisite to the
base layer, yeah.
Is before into the gratitude that you would demonstrate there. So sometimes, and again, it's the Goggins versus Gandhi approach. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need a bit more Gandhi in life. Sometimes you need a bit more David Goggins. I mean, it's individual to the person, but probably for you, it might benefit the shit. I've got a fucking roof. Look at us. We're not getting rained on right now. We're not getting burnt alive. We've got access to food and water, and man, we're living.
Sometimes
we're living.
The Gandhi and the Goggins, you don't need to listen to the one that you relate to the most.
No.
And that is, I'm fucking guilty of that. And sometimes, sometimes you do.
Because you're like vegan Goggins, man. Do you know what I mean? You're like vegan David Goggins. You're like David Goggins if you ain't nothing but lets and fucking and beans. Do you know what I mean?
Beans and pulses.
Beans and
nuts
pulses.
And pulses.
Like, honestly, like you sound like a toolkit of what you eat. Do you know what I mean? Nuts, pulses, like, you know what I mean? You put all that shit in a toolbox. But like, no, you're like a vegan Goggins, man. And it's like, sometimes if like fucking meditate in the garden. Like, but you like go out, like when you go outside and you touch grass with bare feet as well, not with fucking shoes.
There's science behind that. Yeah, there's grounding.
When you go into bare foot and I don't know, man. It's just
you're connecting with, and I'm going down that. And this is again, I'm going to sound more vegan than ever.
Go on.
Because I'm going down the route of anthropology. Like,
tell me,
in those times where you're connecting with the ground and there's electronic signals, and they say in order to when you go abroad and you got jet lag, the best way to get over that jet lag is to take your shoes off and go and ground yourself through barefoot on land, so it's not on concrete, not on slabs, but somewhere that will help. Well, grass, sand. You go and stand there, and no, I haven't done the explanation justice, because
ground yourself.
It's grounding yourself, but there's electronic signals, and I don't know enough about it, but it's something that I'm again researching more of now and becoming a bit more spiritually aware. There's energy transfer, and energy transfer is something that I used to think, what a load of what a load of
bollocks. Hippie bollocks.
What a load of bollocks.
Fucking shit.
But it's so true. Like and again, I touched on it last time. There's an energy transfer as we're sitting here now. And sometimes you can just feel the vibration. Sometimes you can just feel someone's energy. Again, when someone walks in the room, you're like, fuck, they're in a bad mood before they've even, said anything. And there's signs, you can read body language and things like that. But there's energy transfer then. And then sometimes you've got that one person who comes in the room, often it's yourself, who is so, what's the word? It's just it's a
big-headed.
No, it's such a positive influence on the people. Infectious. It's infectious. You come in, you can't help but sometimes smile because you come in and it's like you don't even have to say much. You just have to be. Yeah, exactly.
We're here, motherfuckers.
Yeah, and that's enough. Sometimes it just takes that person to change the whole energy of the room.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask, touching on the previous point earlier, because again, we are getting very hippie right now. We are getting very vegan, very vegan. Do you think the reason you're always going to have that balls to the wall approach is because of how you were raised in your sporting background? Do you think it's because? Do you think that branches off into that sense? Because I never had a sporting background when I was growing up. It took till It wasn't until I was a late teenager till I started doing anything sport related. But you were a competitive football player, like at a good level. Like Rob was in a Premier League fucking football academy, bro. Like he's an Iron Man Premier League football academy. What a beast, I know. But do you think that stemmed for the reason why you're always balls to the wall?
Yeah, it was definitely. It was influenced by my background, and your parents, they'll do the best job possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely love my parents. There's no bad word to say about them. I respect how I was brought up. But for me, I would delve deeply into sometimes to thinking why am I the way I am? And there's previous experiences that have come to my realization that it's because I'm going down the route of performance. My coaching background is from my dad. I joined the football team from an early age, as soon as I could walk. And then at one point, my dad did his football coaching badges. All right, so he got to a really good level of coaching and then decided to coach the team that I was playing for. And you've got two types of parents, right? So bear with me. You've got a parent that will go, my son is the dog's bollocks. He can play in any position. He'll score from anywhere on the team. And he might be shit, right? Yeah. But it doesn't matter. To that dad, his son's the
He's the right back.
Yeah, right back in the changing room.
Yeah, right back in the changing room. Getting fourth substitution. Come on.
Or you've got the complete polar opposite where your dad's the harshest on their son because they've got to earn the right. They've got to leave no excuses on the table. They've either got to be the best on the team or they'll be off. And that was me. And I appreciated that because I wanted to earn my position. I just didn't want to be given it. I didn't want to be seen as a son of the coach. I wanted to be seen as the player that commanded that position, the player that was earned the right to be there for the team, and everyone else looked at that player, myself, as the person that they needed to have on the team as a crucial aspect. That's the whole approach that I looked at it. That was the first instant. Then it was reinforced because my dad would do that. He would, if I miskicked a ball, right, and then I might get one or two strikes, but then I was off. If I'm having an off game, I was off early. And I wasn't given the chance to earn my position on that day because I'd lost it.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be from the start. As soon as the whistle went, I had to be on it. And I was always there, first one, setting up the cones, setting everything up, because obviously I'm helping out my dad. Also, I'm helping out the coach. I'm helping out the coach. And some of the players did that naturally. And then afterwards, after the game, I'm there picking up. Everyone else is headed to changing rooms. Everyone else is, going to change in the clubhouse. I'm there making sure that everything's packed away neatly. And what that was doing is reinforcing my internal dialogue that I had to be showing up, giving 100% to everything every day and earning my position, fighting for my place. It's never good enough, because even if the only way I knew that I had done well, if there was like a silent ride home. And there was those points as time grew on, and I'm not going to say act like it was always that way. As time went on, my dad sometimes would give me a little nod. You know, that was a symbol, you know, well done. And it might be that, well done. But if I didn't play well, it would be a car ride home and an earful. You know, you dread that car ride home, because other players, they could just get in the car and go home. I went home with a coach that gave me the whole fucking feedback of the whole game. But I respected that as well, because I learned from my mistakes. I knew about my mistakes. I didn't get away with my mistakes. There was no excuses. I didn't get away with mistakes from the team. And I wanted the team to be better. I wanted myself to be better. So that's always what I've strived for. Be better. Do more. Be more disciplined. Work harder. Train harder. And these are all things that instilled in me. It's why I want to perform at my highest. It's why I want these results. And if it doesn't happen the way I want it to, if it doesn't happen the way I plan it to, it's not good enough. Mm-hmm. So this is, well, now I've kind of realized this now. That's not always a good thing. All right. So it is a good thing. It's led me to do well in sport. I probably could have done better, but hey ho. You know, I'm here. I'm sitting here, and I'm athletic. I'm 32 years old, and I'm fitter than most 20-year-olds.
Fitter than most human beings who have ever walked the face of the earth.
But it's that's the reason. That's a lot of the reason why I am the way I am. With that, so now I'm having to find that inner peace. I'm having to defeat the final boss, which is my own internal dialogue from my previous experiences of the way I've been brought up, which is absolutely fine. Again, no, it's not a bad upbringing. It's the way you were brought up, and that's defined you till this point. But if you're not happy with certain areas of your life, look at yourself in the mirror. How were you brought up? What has made you this way? Because whatever you've done previously has shaped you into this. And it might not have been what's happened to you, it's what's happened for you as well. Yeah.
Okay. So I say to you, there are many people that would watch this and could relate to you, in the sense that nothing's ever going to be enough. 3 key traits they should develop in order to reverse the switch and start to be accepting and have some form of inner peace.
The first one is acceptance. You just touched on it. So it's accepting. It's accepting yourself and knowing that everything's fine. Everything is going to work out. But you have to change it. So it's the acceptance that, okay, you are the way you are. And if you're lucky enough to be listening to this, everything's fine. Mm-hmm. You've got a phone in your hand, you've got a computer screen, or you've got a TV, whatever you're listening to this on, you're fine. Yeah, there's people that don't have that luxury. And even the people that don't have that luxury are fine. You know? And that's the first one. The compassion is another one, because it's the polar opposite to what you're probably going through.
For what you told.
It's the opposite to the discipline, opposite to that tough love that you've either been given or been shown, and now giving yourself. It's the ability to be able to accept and be compassionate towards others, but mostly towards yourself. Now, an awareness. I think you have to be aware of those things as well. So there's
self-aware.
It's self-aware, yeah. So we are big into self-awareness, because know thyself is a major step in the right direction. And even if you're questioning yourself, you're a step ahead of most people, because most people don't even take a minute to go, why am I like this? Most people just will go on and blame things, find excuses. Oh, that's just life. Or, I've had a shit time. But if you can be self-aware to why you are the way you are, or what's happening around you, making you this way, you have the ability to change it. You have the ability to find inner peace, or you're one step closer to finding it because you have the answers. What would you think?
I think you've hit the nail on the head, mate.
Yeah.
I think you've hit the absolute nail on the head. Some need for self-awareness, accept you aren't going to be perfect. And as I say, have some compassion for yourself and others around you. I think that's a really good way. I think that's a really good way of telling people to actionably try and implement some form of inner peace into their existence. So everybody start trying to implement those steps.
Yeah.
Everybody, we want 50 subscribers by the time episode 20 comes live. Please. I don't want to have to jump in Rob's cold plunge pool. However, I will if we do not have 50 by the time.
We're going to put bags and bags of ice in it because we know it's getting towards summer. We've got these hot days, we've got the sun shining in. And if we don't get there, by when?
If by episode 20 we haven't got 50 subscribers, I'm getting that fucking cold plunge pool.
And on episode 20, you will see, featured in that podcast, snippets of us in the cold plunge pool. Not together.
But I know a couple of people who might say, Zach.
But we will do it. We'll have a forfeit, and please just.
So for the fucking sake of me not having to get in a fucking cold plunge, please subscribe.
Yeah.
Please, comment as well. Like the video because we want 50 subscribers. Come on, people, help us out, okay? We appreciate you all, okay? I've been Mitch.
I've been Rob.
Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.